had to stop using it because he was using it on Prodigy and somebody else was using it on like AOL. And the motherfucker jumped from AOL to Prodigy just to yell at him to stop using it.
They have way too much ass.
So why does it not fucking surprise me that the guy who is so obsessed over the name that he switched internet providers to stop this is the one who gave me PTSD?
Hi.
Trust me, if any of you ask a question that gives me PTSD,
Yeah,
This is his dance.
he is armed. He did bring a pimp stick, so.
show us your pimp stick. Wait, no.
I moved it.
Oh, what do we have to
As I understand the law, since I now medically have to carry a cane, I can hit any one of you motherfuckers.
I'll represent him, so.
You know what? The cane people of 30 here should be referred to as Your Honor.
That's
No.
the best game.
Actually, I said that to my spouse, and their response was, if you hit me with the cane, I'm going to beat you to death with it in your sleep.
See, no one
You go to bed before me, and you sleep heavier, and I'll tell the police I don't know what happened. I don't know, officer. He was like that when I came to bed.
He went to bed with his head caved in. Isn't that weird?
Like 30 seconds away from start. This is just like, no, fuck you, no. Fuck you, your time was set for 11.
You don't know if that time's real.
What is time?
Thank you.
That's right there too.
I do not stand under your clock.
Guess what? Time goes
My
faster.
iPhone has a gold fringe. You don't recognize it's reading at the
Okay,
time.
now it's 11 o'clock.
Okay.
It says 23.
It is 11 o'clock. We can start. Hello, welcome to Lawyer Horror.
Speak of the devil.
Yes.
After dark. It's always after dark because if you try to tell a lawyer not to cuss, we're going to tell you to go fuck yourself.
Unless you're a judge.
I am the Boozy Badger. I am also the Boozy Barrister. I write lawyersandliquor.com. I am a general litigation attorney. I handle anything and everything that has a chance of at some point going to trial. I
Yes,
also
this
do
one is,
general
but you
law
can sit there.
practice such as estates, will work, deed drafties, M&A shit. I handle now again criminal matters. I did not handle
This
criminal
one
matters for a number
is
of
gonna be
years
this
until my
one.
firm informed me that I was now a criminal attorney.
Did I steal your stuff?
I'm admitted to the State
sorry.
Bar of the Commonwealth
That's
of
nice. They
Pennsylvania,
talked to
the
everyone.
Eastern District of Pennsylvania, the Middle District of Pennsylvania, and the Western District of Pennsylvania in the United States District Court, the United States Third Circuit, and I am currently drafting my entry of appearance request and admission request for the United States Supreme Court. None of that means shit.
Unless we're trying to steal your identity.
Unless you're trying to hire him, too.
I am a Pennsylvania lawyer. That is what that fucking means. To my right is Tony the Tufted Titmouse. He can handle his own entertainment.
I am a tufted titmouse, apparently. I'm an accidental furry. That's a completely other, different story. Yep, titmouse. No, I followed this asshole. One of us. That's right. I am a Michigan licensed attorney. I do mostly commercial type stuff, so non-competes, non-disclosure agreements. I do often advise my friends and family on DUI cases. My advice is this: don't do that shit.
I don't even have any keys.
Yeah, but most of my life is reading contracts and telling people how not to fuck them up.
To my left is Bismarck.
I am the corporate and general counsel for this very convention.
Yes!
Also, if any of you fuck up royally, I'll be talking to you in a very stern voice. I think that I've written the contract for our insurance and the waivers so that that won't happen, right?
Right. Yes, sir.
Not right.
I'm a Michigan licensed attorney. I've been practicing not too long. I'm currently a corporate lawyer, and so I am able to practice anywhere in the country that happens to do with my company. I handle healthcare subrogation. Short version of that is I call lawyers and insurance companies and say, hey, pay your fucking Medicare and Medicaid bills. You owe them money. and that's all I do for the most part. Before that, I did civil litigation, I was in trials, hearings, depositions, that kind of thing, for a Michigan firm here, and that's about it. So, that's my story.
Now, I will say, if he talks to you in a very stern manner, there is something called pro hoc vice, and it allows an attorney to have a temporary license to practice in a state for one civil case. You have to have somebody who is admitted to the bar of that state stand for your admission. He is a Michigan licensed attorney, I'm a Pennsylvania licensed attorney, but I happen to know another Michigan licensed attorney who could stand very easily for my admission. So my retainer fees are negotiable. All right, so the way this tends to work is we just let you ask questions, then we ramble back at you with everything that we can disclose to our usual. All three of us are licensed attorneys. We are not equal licensed attorneys. We do not represent you. There is no attorney-client privilege. If you have not met with one of us in our offices, we have discussed your legal matters, you have paid a retainer, and we have agreed explicitly to represent you,
Pay the retainer. That's the key part.
then we do not represent you. Please, for the love of God, do not ask a question that begins with, so after I raped that person.
Let's call this generic legal advice. That's what we'll call it.
In other words, a fool's trial.
Pretty much.
Number two, if you're going to try to get around rule number one by saying hypothetically,
Or I have a friend that.
Allegedly.
We know what that means.
we know what it means.
Don't tell people. Don't tell the
You hypothetically are a dipshit. Your friend is a dipshit. And if you are using the word allegedly, you're guilty. The only people who get to use the word allegedly and not be guilty of a crime are lawyers and people on CNN. If we say we cannot answer a question if you ask about a specific case, the reason is we are under a duty of attorney-client confidentiality, and there is no way we can talk about these facts or circumstances regarding the case without possibly betraying them. We do have ethical duties. It is a furry con. We do have to be mindful of that. Trust me, I will tell you the best story I can. Legally. But there are some stories that I just won't be able to tell you, even if it's just clawing at me to say it. That said, who has a question? Holy shit. Already. I don't know if you both have the same question or what's going on over there.
I think she stabbed the hand
I was
harder.
actually curious about what it was like when you first took the bar exam.
Not the same.
I'm good friends with Zels over there, and I know kind of a little bit of his experience with the bar exam.
All right. So you want to talk about the Michigan bar exam?
Sure.
We can talk about the Michigan bar exam. It's an epic shitstorm. You basically hang up your life for a solid 3 months and you study 8 to 12 hours a day. Mindless crap. I mean, in law school, I didn't take, there are core classes you have to take to get a JD, but there are classes that are electives like family law and a couple of others that they test on the bar exam, but you don't have to take the class. So it was me teaching myself in a matter of 2-3 months, classes that are a full semester long, just in case they ask an essay question. A lot of drinking to fall asleep at night, a lot of coffee, Red Bull to get through it all. Yes. Some of us aren't going to publicly admit the use of Adderall, but it does happen. It does happen. Yeah, it's basically the worst 3 months of your life unless you've drank the water in Mexico and just can't get that. That would be the worst 3 months of your life.
Let's not go there.
Then you go to MSU and sit in a gymnasium for about 6 to 12 hours, and you write a whole bunch of crap that you will forget immediately. And you hope you pass 2 months later on. That's 2 months of excruciating pain, waiting, hoping to God you don't have to pay it again.
Well, and the best part is they give you like a half-an-hour break for lunch on each of the 2 days. It's a 2-day fucking test, right? 2-day test. Half of it's 200 multiple choice questions, the other is you're writing essays. The best part is at lunch you have all these other assholes who apparently studied some other fucking God knows what, talking about the answers that they wrote wrong on the goddamn bar exam, and you're just chuckling and not engaging because it's not going to help them at that point, and it makes you feel a little bit better about yourself.
Absolutely.
My experience was completely different.
Don't cut the baby in half. That's bad law.
I did not study for 3 months straight. I was selling cars while I was studying for the bar exam. I would get up at 4 a.m. I would do maybe 3 hours worth of studying from the Kaplan course because you have to pay for a fucking course.
Yeah, it's like 2-3 grand.
Yeah, there's absolutely no way you're teaching yourself that much law in 3 months. Then I go home and I do another 2-3 hours. The 2-day test part's accurate, except it's really fucking bad. Pennsylvania, you go to one of 3 testing centers in the state. There's one in Pittsburgh, there's one in Harrisburg, the state capital, there's one in Philadelphia. All 3 of them are in these old, rundown fucking hotels with really weird water spots on the ceiling. And like fucking cheer, you guessed it, like fucking furry country. Like I was now, I am genuinely surprised there was not a fucking furry con going on in the fucking hotel. Because it seems like the hotel group's like, huh, there's people getting ready to take a career determining exam. Let's just put as many distractions as possible. We had a junior miss cheerleading competition in the fucking hotel, and they're going up and down the goddamn hallway. I've never wanted to strangle a 12-year-old. But you take the exam, it is a 2-day exam. There's a 200 multiple choice question part, and there's like, what, 50 questions in it that don't count. They just don't count.
They're test questions.
They don't fucking tell you which ones they are, though. And guys, these are like multiple choice questions. Like, you know, there are like many planets and a bunch of answers. No, these are questions like, here is a fact pattern, and then here are 4 choices. All of them are wrong. Which one is less wrong?
Yep.
And it's difficult. Like, you can choose the right answer, but there's another answer that's
Slightly more right.
Slightly
a little
more
bit more right.
Oh, I want to kill people.
You have to. The point of the test is to determine
Close enough.
what the right test answer is, not what the right answer is. On all of these things, the essay questions, when we say essay questions, like, what did you do for your summer vacation?
12 pages. 12 pages.
We are talking like a 1.5-page long fact pattern, and then 5 fucking questions.
Thank you.
And each of the 5 is like, okay, now tell us all the crimes they can be charged with, why, how, and what are the elements of proof.
I still have a divot in my finger. I hand wrote the bar exam. I still have a dent in my finger that'll be there for life.
To give you an idea of the bar exam, there are stories, true fucking stories, of people having heart attacks and going into labor during the administration of the bar exam, and then being pissed that they had to stop taking the test because the test is only administered twice a year.
Was it a boy or a girl?
Who knows?
Not relevant.
Not my problem at that point.
Now, this is the sad thing.
That wasn't you?
That person's test stops. The test for the people around them, keep going. Because it's like the multi-state bar exam question, the MB, which is the multiple choice portion. It's not different. That is the same exam nationwide, given on the same day. That's why every state's bar exams take place on the same 2 days every year.
Last week of February.
And the last week of July. The same 2-day period, every state, except New Jersey, because fuck New Jersey.
In California, it's a 3-day bar.
Yeah, takes their bar exams on the same days because they use standardized testing for this, so they can't delay the MBE portion. Because, and this has happened, people will fucking call each other angels. You did the same thing with the LSAT, the law school entry exam. So the guy behind you has a fucking heart attack. You keep going, motherfucker.
Either he lives or he dies.
And either way, Carl's death shouldn't be the reason you can't practice law. For 3 months, I sold cars in the middle of the day. I studied in the mornings. I studied in the evenings. I went to go take the bar exam in a fucking ratty-ass t-shirt with holes in it and a pair of pajama pants. Because fuck it, if I'm screwing my life up, I'm gonna be comfortable.
So, follow-up question. That's an odd question to ask 3 lawyers sitting at the front of the room. Are you considering law school?
No, I'm
Good. Don't.
I'm not smart enough.
Nothing to do with it.
That's what it's all about. Can you remember?
No, you said I'm not smart enough. I have a story. I went to law school with a girl who we'll call, Missouri bitch.
Was she from Canada?
Now, this girl was crazy smart, and when I say crazy smart, the emphasis should be on the first word. Okay? She, here is an honest-to-God quote from when I sat behind her in my first year of law school, which you have assigned seat. You sit there, you get to choose your seat, but you better make sure that you like the people you don't fucking know that you're sitting by, because once the professor puts your fucking name on that goddamn thing, that's it, that's your seat. Congratulations. I chose Portland. Every fucking morning, she'd walk in, she'd sit down, and be smelling good.
She was doing law school right, folks.
One morning, I heard this come back. Girl, thank you for going and buying the Plan B for me. I drank a bunch of cough syrup, but I'm not sure it took care of it. She passed because she took good notes. And there's only one exam that determines your grade in law school. You have an exam at the end of each semester. That is your fucking grade. Congratulations.
After 15 weeks of class, you get one exam.
No midterm?
She transferred out to another school, not because it was a better school, but because it was in a more active city. I found out she graduated at the bottom of her class. She passed the bar exam on the 4th attempt. She now makes 3 times what I make. You don't have to be smart to be a fucking lawyer.
Have any of you talked with lawyers? Like, besides the 3 of us? Have any of you had a case lawyer? You're a lawyer?
Yep.
All right, so of the lawyers you work with, how many would you say are smart?
30%.
That's probably par for the course.
Guys, the bar exam, and you hear this. This is what they fucking tell you in law school and bar prep courses. It is a test of minimum competence.
And honestly, memorization. Minimum competence and memorization.
Memorization within 3 months.
Yep.
Exactly. Does that answer your question?
Absolutely.
It's not gonna fuck whether it does or not. You asked about the bar exam. Next question. Yes.
Okay.
If you ask about the bar exam, I'm throwing
Yeah,
you.
I'm just like
No, I'm going to ask a fun question. If you can answer this, what is the most "what the fuck is my client doing" situation you've ever been in? Like I said, I know.
I like you for asking that. That's incredible.
Just so you know, Boozy's gonna have the best story because he's the only litigator that takes defense cases. Am I right? Yeah. So mine will be some boring shit about a non-compete, but I'm sure Boozy's got a story.
But I can actually reenact it. Here's, I've told the story a couple times. Here's a simple fact about criminal defense work. District attorneys are assholes. From 45 days from the date of arraignment, they have to get me their file. Okay? I'm entitled to see it. They give it to me on the 45th day because fuck me. So when I am hired immediately after an arrest, prior to a preliminary hearing, and I call the district attorney on a courtesy call, and I know it's not a friendly district attorney because I've wanted to beat the man to death about 20 fucking times, and I say, hey, it's a courtesy call, I've been retained for person A, and the response is, you want me to send the file over? It was the dash cam video. Now, normally I will watch your dash cam video 3 or 4 times. The first time I watch it, I'm looking for obvious errors on behalf of the police officer. The second time I watch it, I'm looking for less obvious errors. The third time I'm watching it, I'm looking for those minuscule errors. The fourth time I'm watching it, I'm looking for fucking anything. Why? Because at some point I'm going to make something called an omnibus motion. It's a motion to exclude evidence, to have things thrown out, to get everything dismissed. Normally there are issues of constitutional law. They didn't have a good reason to stop you. They didn't have a good reason to search the car. They asked the wrong question. They failed to tell you the right thing. Things like that. But generally, yeah, in these dash cam videos, when they go to an arrest, they're normally like 30 to 45 minutes long. They're not short videos. So generally I'm going to spend like 4 fucking hours watching the video to see if there's anything I can latch on to help with these motions. Let me tell you how this one went when I got the file. I put it in. The DA's little fucking video viewer popped up. I hit play. Roll down the window. Do you know why I pulled you over? The drugs are in the trunk.
Well then.
I turned the video off. I called my client and they said, what do you think? I said, I have the DA's file. Well, what do you think? And I said, you're going to jail. They did too.
They're probably still there, right?
It cost them a good amount of money to not go to jail for as long as they would have. Otherwise, clients are fucking idiots, right? They are stupid. Now, it's not a story of mine. It's a story of my father's. My father's been practicing 40-something years down in Kentucky. And very early in his practice, he was a child support prosecutor. And his office, all his division did, he headed it up, all they did was if you didn't pay your child support and you lived out of state, he sent a Kentucky constable out of state to work with local police to seize your ass and bring you back to Kentucky to attend a hearing on whether or not your ass should be thrown in jail for not paying your child support. And you got a full hearing. The judge got to ask why. And it wasn't even one of my father's clients. My father's client was the Commonwealth of Kentucky. But the guy got on the stand, and his attorney, I guess, was trying to show was an incapability to pay the child support. And he said, sir, what is your occupation? And the gentleman goes, well, I'm a cemetery caretaker and grave digger. The defense attorney goes, and how are you paid? He goes, well, I live in a house on the cemetery grounds. And the church, it was a church, the church pays all of my utilities. And I get a small stipend for groceries as well. Because do you have any money that isn't your grave? Well, yes, I also get paid a certain amount per grave dug, sealed. Radio check. Why have you not been able to pay your child support? Well, business has been slow. But I expect it to kick up real soon.
Is that a political joke?
Okay, just checking. The judge stopped the hearing. Called the defense attorney and my father to the bench for a sidebar. Looked at the defense attorney and said,
Will you speak up a little bit?
We can't hear you.
Yeah.
sorry, it said, should I be calling the sheriff's department? Oh, There's a microphone.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes.
So, yeah, clients always will say the dumbest thing they can. Every time. And that's why we tell you to keep your fucking mouth shut.
3 words. 4 words. I want my lawyer. I want my lawyer. That's all you say to the cops. That's it.
Do you know why I stopped you tonight? No.
I want my lawyer.
Can you step out of the vehicle for me? Surprisingly. Sure. Can I search your vehicle? No. Don't. I'm going to give you legal advice. It's really life advice. Okay. Everybody in this room with a law degree, raise your fucking hand. Everybody in this room whose knowledge of the law comes off of Google and YouTube, raise your fucking
Or
hand.
Jay-Z songs.
What about criminal justice programs?
You know a damn good way to get your ass shot? When the police say, can I search your car? And you say no, and they go, well, we're gonna fucking do it anyways, and you try to fight them off from your goddamn car? And this happens.
Yeah,
I'm not joking. I'm going to search your car. You can't do that, and they start to grab at the cop. You're under arrest. What do you mean I'm under arrest? No, and you start to fight the fucking cop. Guys, you're right. They probably don't have the legal right to search your fucking car. They probably don't have the legal right to fucking arrest you. But you know whose job it is to show that?
The lawyers.
You know whose job it is to just let them do that unjust thing and take your ass to jail so you can call me to get you out and bring that lawyer, bring that cop's ass out, take his goddamn badge and put it on my fucking wall next to the other ones.
It's my favorite thing from crim law. It's called the fruit of the poisonous tree. It's the thing you will never forget. An illegal search will always get evidence that can be excluded. So, cop wants to search your shit, you tell him no. Says I'm doing it anyway or calls in a dog, fine, do it. Fight it later. You can't win a battle with a cop with a taser, a radio, and a gun. You just can't do it in that moment.
And you're not going to win it on the roadside.
Real question.
You end up beaten, shot, or tased.
That's not legal advice, that's practical advice.
If the cops arrest you, should you take your camera out and try to film him?
If he'll let you, yeah. If he tries to grab your camera, maybe put it away somewhere, shut it off. I will tell you this, don't fucking leave your fucking camera unlocked. As a matter of fact, if you have a biometric finger scanner on your camera, or on your phone right now, without a second factor authentication where you have to type in a fucking code, disable that shit right now. Disable your finger scanners. You know why?
First thing they take.
You know why? Making you enter the code is something they cannot make you do. Putting your fucking thumb on a fucking thumb pad, well, they can make you do that. That's legal. Yes.
So in the same vein, what if you refuse a search and they say summon a canine unit and the canine hits? What options do you have?
If the canine hits, you let it proceed from there. You let us handle it.
Yeah, they now have probable cause to conduct a full search.
You're already in the shit.
But that,
Eat your shit sandwich.
but quite frankly, it doesn't mean that it's a valid search. It doesn't mean there's a valid search. Guys, I'm not going to give you like a shit ton of legal advice. I will say though that there is a limit to how long a police department can detain you on the roadside. And this isn't even legal advice. It's a Supreme Court holding. They cannot stop you for longer than it takes to complete the purpose of that stop unless something else happens. They cannot hold you on the roadside for a speeding ticket for 50 minutes while a canine unit comes in. And if they do it, that's a situation where we get to make the argument that they exceeded the length necessary to complete the stop, and therefore the canine search is invalid. Let's get back to fun shit.
Yeah.
Probably already said this, but what is the weirdest, absolute weirdest case you guys have ever taken, be it criminal or civil?
let me tell you about how dumb companies can be when they get a little butthurt. All right, so I had a client who worked for a staffing company. I don't know if any of you guys know what staffing companies do, but they basically find people jobs. So this person left, we'll call it staffing company A to go to staffing company B. Same line of business, 10 miles apart, you know, same client base, and this guy did sales for staffing, for both staffing companies, really. Under advice of the company that was hiring him, his new boss said, don't bring anything with you. Don't bring a client list, don't bring business cards, leave all your shit there and walk out. So he did, he does. He actually, for once, listens to the guy giving him the advice, who happened to be an attorney. Didn't take anything with him. Goes to the new company, sure as shit, within a week updates his LinkedIn, knock, knock, knock on the door, process server. 5 minutes later, another process server. The first one was a temporary restraining order. The second one was a preliminary injunction. Both were denied by the court, but they were served on a minute. So I call, he comes to me, we talk through what his options are. Fortunately, the temporary restraining order was denied, so was the preliminary injunction, so this guy can at least still show up at his new job and be productive. So I called the first company's attorney, said, what are you trying to do here? He said, well, we don't want him working in this area of staffing because he's so close. Does he have a non-compete? Yes, he has a non-compete. It was included in the original thing. So I read through the non-compete. Sure shit, my guys breached the non-compete. But it's going to put this guy out of work, right? So we go and we argue. The first motion was, should there be an injunction at some point? The first hearing is, should the court say this guy can't show up to work, can't feed his family, can't do what he does? So the beautiful thing about Michigan law with regards to non-competes is it requires several things. First, you got to have a non-compete agreement that was breached, in this case. You also have to have a reasonable geographic area and time. Well, it was like 2 weeks later, within like 10 miles. The third and final thing was damages. How harmed was old company because he went to new company? And this is where the bitching got going on. So we probably wound up billing our client side 25 grand. And I know the other side billed 30 grand. So there's $55,000 in legal fees. And I'll tell you the way it ended. It ended in a settlement, as most litigation does. And what do you think the settlement said?
He saved money so he could go to work.
He just can't call his clients from company A for 1 year. That's it. 55 grand to do something, some shit that he wasn't going to do anyway. Because he knew not to cause the other firm damage, because then they'd have a cause of action. So, dumb things that people do, they spend 30 grand or 25 grand to fight over 30 or 40 clients that he wasn't going to call anyway. I mean, that's about as dumb as he gets in corporate law. But I mean, I'm pretty wound up about it. I want you guys to get excited.
Rawr, rawr, rawr. I've had a lot of weird cases. I've had dumb clients, for sure, but nothing too weird. Probably one of the weirdest things I've had to do is with another dumb client, of course. Of course, I'm not going to say exactly what the case is, but
Was that a convention?
thankfully not.
Okay.
But suffice to say, your clients will withhold information from you all the time because they want their case to sound great to you and for you to be, on their side and everything, and not find a single problem with their case, even though that is your job. So sometimes when you're a plaintiff's lawyer, you will have case for vehicle accidents. In fact, that's probably most of your cases in Michigan. And in some cases, your clients will not tell you exactly how long they were waiting on a curb to cross the street, or how far away the nearest crosswalk is, or the fact they didn't care there was cars coming, they had waited damn long enough, and they were going to walk anyway. And in fact, the worst part is that they choose trial to be the time to disclose that information when they are on the witness stand. Suffice to say, when that happened and they came back to my seat next to me, I looked at them and said, "You never mentioned this during deposition. You never mentioned this during any of the prep we did." Well, I didn't think it helped the case very much. You're frickin' right, it won't.
We wouldn't be in trial if you'd have told me about it before.
I tell people when they come in, and I have a whole spiel that I go through. I'm not going to go through it with you guys. It's like a 10-minute fucking spiel, which will tell you how serious it is. But part of the spiel is, I am your lawyer. I do not give a shit what the truth is. I don't care what happened. I don't care why you did it. I don't care if you did it. I'm not here to judge you. I don't care what the truth is, but I do care that you're telling it to me. Because if the first fucking time I hear it is in front of the judge, I can't do shit for you. That's not paraphrased. For that exact, I've had that happen. I've had clients do the same thing. The first fucking time that you hear a crucial part of their case is when you're in front of the goddamn judge. Well, even if you rehearse it, because they'll lie to you in the rehearsal. They lie to you. And guys, let me just put it this way. If you walk into my office and you are paying me to represent you, I assume you're lying. I mean, I will cross-examine you during your intake to find out how you are lying. Because everyone fucking lies. The weirdest case. There's so many to choose from.
Like I said, it could be criminal or it could be civil. Either one.
Who's gonna be the first one?
Actually, quite frankly, I will go with an estate case, believe it or not. I've been hired to help a family settle up the estate of a rather young woman who had tragically passed very early due to abuse. And when you have a bunch of personal effects and the family doesn't want them, sell them. Because it's your job as the attorney for the estate to assist the estate's executor in helping the estate gain maximum value. Now, a lot of times you don't give a fuck if they don't owe debts. If they owe debts, the creditors can hold you to that obligation to maximize the value of the estate. So you hire an auctioneer to come out. And the auctioneer takes all of your shit, puts it into lots, and holds a public auction. I don't go through your fucking house. I don't care what you have in it. I'm not taking shit out of it. If your family gives a shit, they can. Okay, fine. Because 90% of the shit you have isn't worth anything. I just have to hold the auction to show to the creditors I held the fucking auction, right? My only involvement tends to be when the auction report comes back. And it's a report of everything that's sold and how much it's sold for. And I enter it into a nice little sheet that we call a final accounting. And I'm entering it in, and I come across one listing, and it said adult toys, lot of 50, unsanitized,
A furry bought it.
First, apparently the auctioneer that I hire is very thorough because they were selling someone's dirty used dildos. Second, they sold them in a lot. So I'm wondering if they just tossed them all in a fucking box. Third, I now know my client had 50 fucking dildos. Fourth, someone bought them.
How much they spend?
And finally, I had to mail a list saying that to National City Bank and their lawyer. I know their lawyer. I deal with their lawyer in my area on a fairly regular basis. No shit. I faxed it over. 30 minutes later, the phone rang. And the only thing he says, hand to God, is 50 to look. The only thing I say is, 50 dildos. And then we hang up. The law is fucking strange. There are guys I talk to on a daily basis who I know way too much about. Back. Yeah, that's you.
Again, if you can say, is Andrew Cohn's case against Doug O still ongoing?
I have no idea. The last time, and I could, where Hague has left the story off at is they had a judgment, they had a levy, there was some payment there. I don't represent Africa. I don't think any of us represent Africa.
No, cannot answer.
Yeah, so I have no idea. From what he's told me, they've obtained a judgment. As for what's happened after that, your guess is as good as mine. However, I bet if you email him, we can make him tell us. You gotta pick somebody, Tony, because we're all looking at you.
Yeah. Okay, I'll make this relatively quick. Of the current or recently retired / dead Supreme Court justices, which one would you most like to drink with and then either have a discussion with or get in an argument and or fist fight?
I'll punch Scalia in the dick.
Anyone, active or past.
I want to let Ruth Bader Ginsburg beat me arm wrestling.
You wouldn't let her. She just beat you.
As long as we're not going back to like Marbury v. Madison era. I don't know those guys so well. I mean, we've all read, a lot of their opinions and dissents, but I'm just saying, you don't get the personality you do with the current crowd.
Yeah. Scalia, and law students love Scalia. And they do.
He writes the best dissent.
Yeah, Scalia is a hell of a writer.
Yep.
He really is. He's very entertaining to read. But he's like very entertaining to read the way that Adolf Hitler would have been if he was Stephen King. The content's fucking horrible. It's just written well. It's like if you only took shits shaped like puppy dogs. I mean,
I need that as a quote.
Devil's advocate, very literally.
Scalia was, for anybody who doesn't follow Supreme Court, like most fucking people.
People with lives.
Yeah. Scalia was an amazingly conservative justice. He believed the Constitution was written that way. We should hold to it. It was not open to fucking interpretation. That states' rights overruled all, which I don't know if you've been through many of our fine states, but hey, the South wasn't too big on letting people who didn't look like us vote. So I'm not too sure that's a great opinion to have. And there is an entire, and this is, oh my God, this is an entire generation now of lawyers who love Scalia because their professors love Scalia, but they don't stop and think the professors didn't love Scalia. They loved the way he wrote. Because he wrote in a very memorable fashion.
Well, and it was witty and snarky, yet very well written, very well argued. You guys aren't going to care, but there's a big movement in the legal profession to write in more plain language and to be blunt and brief. And Scalia did that back in the day. And the rest of the legal profession seems to just now be catching up. So it was compelling. You wanted to read the dissent just to see what this asshole had to say.
So why do you want to punch Scalia?
Oh, lots of reasons.
Oh.
You're very excited to bring you there. I just want to drink the RBG because she's really good.
I want to arm wrestle her. Well, she can take you drinking.
though.
I would, yeah. Whether or not she's gonna, I'm
Let's get a story out of that. That'd be awesome.
And if I went back, bah!
Can we all just agree that, like, Ruth Bader Ginsburg is the Supreme Court Justice we'd love to have as our grandmother?
Hell yeah.
I'm Canadian, I agree.
She did with. It was just like 2 or 3 weeks ago. Stephen Colbert took Ginsburg. She does her regular workout routine. Stephen Colbert tagged along with her at the gym. It was funny because he was just sitting there asking her questions about legal stuff. We should do that.
Get her RBG.
I don't know if I do that. I mean, work out and ask legal advice.
Those fucking shoe turn to pick them.
Alright, who's next? All right.
Hypothetical situation. Automotive company allows the movie house to borrow a concept car. They use the concept car for the movie. The car gets stolen from from movie house. Is seen in no less than 3 different porn films over 45 years.
What are they? Can I get the links?
But here's my question. If that car would have gone back to that automotive firm, they might have had more advanced cars. What would be the process if they finally found the location of the car to get it back, if it were in Europe?
Sir, either you are hiding a car that has been fucked in Germany, or you write law school exams. One between
those. 3 minutes.
In Europe? I don't know European law.
I like that one. I'm sorry, sir. None of us are licensed in Portobia. No, that literally, you just recited something that sounds like a law school exam question.
That was pretty concise.
Well, forget the law school, and I'm not trying to be absurd here because I'm going to hide the manufacturer.
GM.
I'm going to call it a hypothetical, but it could really have happened. My question is how would that company get that car back?
Actually, no, he's actually correct, entirely correct. If it's in Europe, that would most likely be a matter of European law at this point.
And probably any U.S. treaty with whatever European nation has the car.
Yeah.
Is it in England or Ukraine? Because those are 2 different countries where it matters that I'm getting property back.
You're getting into some very high-level stuff.
International
Well, I mean, the Hague Convention as well. Let me ask a question. Does anybody at this table know any part of the Hague Convention except the process section? Yeah. Like, I know the service and process section of the Hague. The Hague Convention is a convention between a number of signatory countries that determines legal actions between the countries and how you can bring people from one country to another country, of course. There is
But
one.
that's not a car. So
Yeah.
that would be a property thing. That would fall
Yeah,
under some other
exactly. And even if you could file the action, you'd have to file the action under the Hague Convention just to get service and processing.
Extradite property, that's difficult.
Well, no, it would most likely be.
Well, this isn't just property; it's technology.
Well, it's
It
still
might be
property.
45
the technology is
Intellectual
property.
property,
Yeah.
still property. Even if it's technology, it's IT, it's property.
Yeah, and it's a good
That
question.
is a great. I'm dying to find out. Let me know when you figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely nobody at this table is qualified to even begin to hazard a guess on it because of the complex issue of international law.
Well, then let me just ask this, if I can. What would we do on this side? We would just file with the European authorities, or would we have
On this side, do you mean like on this side? What would you do?
You may even have to get the American Embassy
Yeah.
involved and hash it out that way with whatever foreign country.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very
I can't say that
important
word.
question. It's just not one anybody up here can answer because guys, there are
It
lawyers.
must be a really cool car. Is it a really cool car?
Yeah.
Well, let me put it to you this way. If we want to stay hypothetical and keep the company's name
It's a DeLorean.
secret. It would have led to more, because at the time it was a much cheaper, higher quality way to manufacture carbon fiber. We would have had probably cars stretching into the 70-mile, 80-mile per gallon limit back in the 90s with no hybrid assistance whatsoever.
You're getting
Right? Well, that's the problem. When they put the car together, this was back before they had a lot of paper, computers that would share a lot of stuff. You got to remember, this is the late '60s when it was first put together. Two of the companies that helped went out of business and just packaged up their paperwork and sent it, and nobody could find that.
I mean, it's a good question. Just nobody up here is very.
I'm not fucking with
I
anybody.
just really want to see the corn links.
All right, next question. I swear to God, if your question is to ask him what corn are they in. Yes, you with the glasses right there.
With the glasses, that's 40% of the audience.
Yeah, you with the glasses directly in front of you.
Okay, furries like to drink. Maybe some of us are drunk right now, but moving a little closer to home, I'd like to ask your opinion on the Tim Piazza case at Penn State and how that's been tossed around.
What we were talking about is a Casey death case. I cannot comment on that case.
Okay, good answer.
No, for very good professional reasons, I cannot comment on anything on that case.
If I may ask one more.
Let's give her a chance first. When we get back to the fuck bars.
I mean, what was one of the cases that you thought for sure you were going to lose, but somehow ended up winning? If you can talk about it.
Thank you for a second. So a lot of what I do with my current job is negotiating over how much money goes back to Medicare and Medicaid. So most of my work is negotiations. And that said, a lot of times people will just push it down and say, oh no, they're not coding any money whatsoever. But at one point I had a case where the opposing side had all of the law on their side, everything. And they had case law to back it up. They had Supreme Court opinions. They had a very good negotiator. And I'm like, we're getting pennies on that dollar business, nothing. So I go back and say, look, we're entitled to $80,000, big number up here. And we're probably going to get 10 at best, maybe 5. I'm ready my boss for this. It's like we're getting nothing on this. And so I say, we're entitled to $8,000. Here's our law. I know it's kind of nothing. We're going to do it. So no, I get email saying, you'll pay that. I'm like, oh, shit. Cool, awesome. Here's the thing. Take it. So every once in a while, they will either have some circumstance you're not aware of. In this case, I found out later on their client was indigent and needed all the money they could get right now, and so they wanted to settle this immediately rather than taking time to negotiate. So every once in a while, you'll have a case where there's something that just works your way, and you're not aware of what it is. But in this case, it was just pretty awesome. They just got money out of it.
Woo! Okay.
I don't think I've had one where I thought I was going to lose and then I won. I am pretty good at assessing the case. Normally by the time that I've lost the case, because it's been after a hearing, I've gone through the file, I know it really well, I know the arguments, I know the strengths, I know the weaknesses, and at some point I've called my client, I said, we're gonna lose this. Just letting you know, we're making the argument to set up for the deal, we're gonna lose. I have lost cases that I was damn certain I would win. I mean, every attorney's had that happen at some point, where there's a case out there where you're looking at it, you're thinking there's absolutely no way anybody can see it other than this way, and then for whatever reason, the judge will come back and just say, I don't agree, and if you disagree with me, appeal it. That's happened to me. But generally, if I think I'm going to lose a case, I'll lose the case. It's not like, no, you can't win. I decided we were going to lose. I take that back. I take it back because just last week I had one that I was pretty sure was going, it wasn't one where I'm like, we're gonna lose. But it was one where I told the clients very frankly, it was an ejectment action, just kind of like a eviction, but more formal.
GTFO.
Yeah, basically it is you have no legal right to the property for us to enter, so you have to get the fuck out. And it was on a very specific type of agreement that in my state they treat them like mortgages even though they're not. My clients had fucked some shit up trying to renegotiate portions of it. They were saying you don't have to treat it like a mortgage anymore. My position was, of course they do. They have to foreclose on the property. That gives my clients a right to cure default under this other agreement. They get to buy their house, they stay, everybody's happy, yeah. I went in for an argument on Monday. I called my client. I said, I'm going to be very frank with you. There is a very, very, very slim chance of winning this. If I was you, I would spend today getting some boxes and starting a night. Normally those arguments take 30 minutes top, like 10 minutes for one side to argue, 10 minutes for the other side to argue. We go back and forth, we all try to make each other look like an asshole of the judge. And I mean, it's technically a foreclosure court type of thing. This judge just kind of says, this is how we got to rule at the end of the hearing. Instead of the normal 30 minutes, we argued for 3.5 hours. And at the end of it, I was able to get my clients the right to buy the home for the next month or so. And they're going to be completing the sale before the end of this month and being able to purchase it. But going in, I was pretty sure that was that if we were going to win that, it was very, very, very slim. And the fact that we spent 3.5 fucking hours arguing about it makes that clear.
We did that for the big one.
That was a ball.
Sorry. I never had a situation where. Now, for me, I think in the wonderful world of commercial law, it's the little wins. It's getting an indemnification clause in a contract thrown out, or I negotiated a lease. The most unique lease. It's in our commercial building. You know, typically they like 5-year commitments and charge monthly rent payments and, you know, common area maintenance fees and all that stuff. I got this landlord to basically rent me the space like a floor house. It's hourly. I actually pay them per hour that we build the space out at. And I thought that was a big win because, you know, it's something a little bit different, and I didn't expect any landlord to take it, but there's months where he's going to make no rent, and then there's months that he's going to make rent where it's basically 3 or 4 times as much as the space is worth. So it's, you know, balancing risk, and I didn't really think any landlord would take it, but I found some moron who did, so good for me.
Good job.
So we got time for like one more question, so who's got a good one? I'm letting you choose.
Yep.
Oh, you got me?
Yeah.
All right.
Is this porn bar in Europe?
No. This is very specific to each person.
He's still in here.
What is the longest case you had to finish? And then the 2 questions are, why did it take so long, and how long did it take?
Like, can I ask you to clarify one point?
All right.
You say the longest case it's taken to finish. Did I have to be there at the office on the case when it started?
No, you can't have inherited a long case from someone else.
It's not fucking done yet.
It hasn't been completed. That's a requirement. You have to have finished it at least.
No, because this one, the same done yet, has gone on for 17 fucking years.
I don't want to hear about a shoot.
What did we open that one? 5 years. 5 years start to finish.
And why?
Because it was a multi-state, multi-million-dollar, multi-party federal case regarding real estate fraud across 7 different states. By the end of the case, I shit you not, I had so much paper discovery from the other side of my office that I could not meet with
I just picture that.
Yeah, that's actually exactly what it was. We had so much.
Where'd you put the badger head?
At
This
one
is
point,
before.
my paralegal had the banker's boxes that they were delivering their discovery file in, and like a small fort around her desk. And that's not a joke. Like it was like she had made a cubicle out of discovery boxes. Yeah, that was 5 years. And that didn't even go to trial. After 5 years of it, we settled the case with all parties 2 days before the trial was set to start.
Actually, my longest case was my first case as a lawyer. This was a motor vehicle accident. And another thing that will typically happen in smaller firms, I was in a smaller firm at the time, is that they won't inherit files from larger firms that they don't want to deal with. So I have no idea how long this file has been in their hands or mishandled, but when I got to my desk, I was a fresh out of law school attorney. I had no goddamn clue what I was doing. So, and that's the case most lawyers, by the way. Once you're out of law school, they don't teach you how to actually practice law in law school. You just know the shit you don't figure out. So I was handed this file that was mishandled, and I looked at this. I had no idea what I was doing. But one thing I did know is that there was 2 defendants. One was filed for bankruptcy and was also the key witness to the case. And the other person was a company that was saying, "Oh no, we're not having any problem with this. We did everything by the books. We were solid." And it took us 8 months to finally get the other person involved in the case because when you declare bankruptcy, their argument is that you cannot be a party to this case because you can't get money out of it because they're bankrupt. And so after 8 months of playing nice with the other side, I said, get this fucker into the deposition room or I'm going to, I know what I was doing. I was basically threatening. I was a fresh out of law school attorney. I know I was threatening. But we got into the deposition. But, oh yeah, they broke every rule. The keys were anytime. We could go out run errands. He actually said I was actually going to meet my dealer at the time.
Answer.
How about that? So next day, the other side said, let's sell this. And that was the biggest settlement I ever had. And to add to the case of clients being freaking idiots, I got him nearly $200,000 and it was gone in a month. Hookers, bling, and blow. So
if you're gonna spend 200 grand, I can think of worse ways.
You guys want me to give you a free piece of advice? Okay. If you own a company and your employee is accused of doing something that's getting your ass sued, and there's a manager who's doing the deposition in the case, makes it sound like you're not involved, the employee's not involved, everything's hunky-dory, but you know that's not right. You keep it until the case is done. You know why? The second you fire his ass, I'm subpoenaing for you to be deposed. And you know what? They don't seem to have a whole fucking lot of loyalty when they've lied for you under oath, and then you fire them.
I don't have anything all that long. Yeah, I mean, most of the commercial agreements that I get to fight over, we wind up coming to some kind of agreement. Even when we get sued, it's not to go to trial. You know, when you're suing over a breach of contract or something, it's pretty much always to induce settlement negotiations, and it settles pretty quickly. And, you know, somewhere in the middle usually. Sometimes we get reamed, sometimes we kick ass, but yeah, it's a little boring, but I like boring sometimes.
It's so much more fun.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that boozy shit? The hell yeah. I'd rather do what I do.
I will say this. Yeah, I mean, I will say this before we wrap up. I love litigation. I genuinely love it. There's a Clarence Darrow saying, there's only one type of real lawyer, and that's a trial lawyer, and trial lawyers try cases. I was raised by a lawyer who believed that. I believe that. I greatly enjoy being able to question somebody. I greatly enjoy being able to argue a case to the court. That is not the only type of lawyer. The two guys on either side of me right now do very important legal work. What they do
Tony's case here keeps millions of dollars flowing through our economy to support many different businesses because, guys, quite frankly, it doesn't matter how fucking smart you are. If you go to work for a company that can do great things, they're going to make sure they can make some money. Tony's company helps do that. Tony as a transactional attorney, I use these things and negotiate with it. This gentleman right here is, I believe he's in the corporate counsel. Subrogation attorney. Yeah. Do you know what subrogation is? Okay, subrogation is, say, somebody hits you. You sue their insurance, but in the meantime, your health insurance is paid out. Subrogation counsel comes in and says, wait a second, no, we can get some of that money back because really, we had to pay for your health care when they should have paid for your health care. Yeah, it sounds like a dick move, but you know what happens if they don't have that? Insurance premiums shoot up, coverage goes down. There are many different facets of practicing law. Every attorney out there that practices law in any way and does so competently and well makes some sort of contribution. It is not easy work. It is complex work. It takes a special type of guy to look at non-disclosure agreements or make subrogation phone calls every day.
70-page fucking corporate agreements.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I fucking shoot myself.
Read the entire Medicare statute. Have fun.
I would shoot myself. If I did not know at the end of my workday I got to go into court and yell at somebody. Because that's what it's all about.
I just yell at my staff.
That's what it's all about for me. I get to scream at somebody at the same time. I get to do it on the record. So when I say that, I guess thank you guys for coming in here.
Thank you.
Yeah, some of you always thought you were going to hear stories about dipshits who don't know to say, hey, the drugs aren't in the trunk. By the way, that would be even worse than saying the drugs are in the trunk. The drugs aren't in the trunk, officer. There are no drugs in this car.
There's only one way that gets worse, Boozy. The drugs are up my ass. That's the only way it gets worse.
No, I'm not showing you my license or rolling down my window.
Do you mind if I look at your trunk? No matter what she says, she was there when I bought the car.
This car is for private use and not commerce.
Oh my God.
Wait, no, officer, this isn't my car. I got it from a movie set and it was in a porno. There you go.
Is that guy still in here? Okay, somebody look out the door and tell me he's still over there.
He's not.
He's probably going to barrage of lawyers didn't answer my porn car question.
It's not for the company I work for.
I kind of want to see this car now.
I'm betting money it's a DeLorean. Like, that's my guess.
No, what I said at the DeLoreans were stainless.
What I say at the beginning, if you open your question with hypothetically, we all know it's not hypothetical. Guys, lawyers smell this like a fat kid smells cake.
I googled it. I wanted to know what carbon fibers were, and it mentions Rolls Royce. So I'm just going to assume it's Rolls Royce now.
And it's in Europe.
Does this guy have the porn car in his storage?
My question is, why was it on a movie set?
How the hell do you have sex in a DeLorean? Inside of one of those?
Very careful.
I mean, it has a hood though, right? I mean, you can get creative. You don't have to be in it.
Wait, you ever had to had sex in a DeLorean? You sound like you have experience.
We call that the gold wing.
He did the Doc Brown.
Capacitor.
I just see that now. Marty, you gotta come. It's your kids, Marty.
No, what if it's 21?
Wait, if young Marty has sex with old Marty, is that masturbation?
Maybe.
Fluffy handled this question. No.
Well, thank you for making my sleep a lot more disturbing.